Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to try and unlock one of the greatest storytellers of all time, William Shakespeare. Now, if you've ever picked up one of his plays and felt just a little bit intimidated, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to demystify the actual words on the page, and then we're going to dive into one of his most brilliant and fun comedies, As You Like It. So let's kick things off with this quote because it really sets the stage, right? For 400 years, these stories have traveled all over the world. They're just a fundamental part of our culture. But to really truly get Shakespeare, we have to ask a kind of tricky question. And this is where things get really fascinating. When you're reading Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet, are those the exact words Shakespeare wrote down with his quill pen? Well, the answer is, it's complicated. And that complication is exactly what we're going to untangle today. Okay, so here's the deal. Unlike a modern author who publishes one final, definitive version of their book, Shakespeare left behind what you could call a textual puzzle. There's no single master copy of his plays that we can just point to and say, yep, that's it, that's the final one. I mean, just think about that for a second. Some of his most famous plays exist in several different versions from his own lifetime, and they don't always agree. This means that every single edition of Shakespeare you've ever picked up is the result of scholars and editors making literally thousands of tiny decisions about which words to use. So what were these editors working with? Well, mainly these two sources. You had quartos, think of them like little cheap paperbacks of a single play sold back in the day. And then, 7 years after he died, his friends and colleagues published the first folio, this huge, prestigious collection of his works. The problem? They often contradict each other, which creates this massive challenge. And believe me, these editorial choices can have a huge impact. Let's look at a really dramatic example from The Tempest to see how one of these decisions can literally change who a character is. Okay, so in the original texts, the young heroine, Miranda, just unleashes this incredibly fiery, powerful speech against the villainous Caliban. It's this amazing moment of righteous fury, and it shows she's a strong, complex character who can totally defend herself. But, and get this, for hundreds of years, if you read a copy of The Tempest, you wouldn't see Miranda saying those words. Editors just took the speech away from her and gave it to her dad, Prospero. An absolutely incredible change, right? So why on earth would they do that? And here's the why, which just blows my mind. Editors, basically following the trends of their own time, decided that language was too harsh, too improper for a nice young lady to say, so they just rewrote Shakespeare. This is the big problem with older editions. They can hide these massive changes, and you, the reader, have no idea it even happened. So how do we fix this? How do we solve the puzzle? Well, this is where modern scholarship, and especially the work of the Folger Shakespeare Library, comes in to save the day. They've created editions built for us, for today's reader, with one core principle: total transparency. Their process is all about trust. They start with the biggest collection of original Shakespeare texts on the planet. Then, their expert editors use all that research to make the best possible judgments. But, and this is the absolute key, they show you their work. They let you see every single change they've made. And they do it with a really simple but powerful tool: brackets. When you're reading a Folger's edition, any word you see inside a pair of brackets, well, that's a heads up. It means that word wasn't in the original base text they used. It's an editorial change. They are literally pulling back the curtain and letting you see how the text was put together. Here's a perfect example. See that word blood in brackets? That's your signal. It's telling you that the original source text was probably missing that word, but based on other evidence, the editors added it in for clarity. It's a simple, brilliant system that puts the power back in your hands. All right, so now that we're all geared up and know how to read these texts with confidence, let's have some fun with it. We're diving into As You Like It, a fantastic comedy about love, disguise, and what happens when you just escape society and run off to the woods. And at its core, it's a story about feuding brothers. What Shakespeare does here is so clever. He gives us these two parallel families. You've got the royals, where the younger brother, Duke Frederick, has kicked out his older brother, Duke Senior, and stolen his title. And at the same time, you have another family where the older brother, Oliver, is cruelly plotting against his younger brother, our hero, Orlando. It's this fantastic look at family jealousy and injustice. And the whole story just ignites in a flurry of action. Orlando wins a wrestling match, and boom, he and Rosalind fall in love at first sight.
But just as fast, her uncle, the tyrant Duke Frederick, banishes her. So Rosalind has to flee, and her amazing cousin Celia says, "No way, I'm going with you." At the exact same time, Orlando finds out his own brother is trying to kill him, so he has to run too. And where does everybody go? You guessed it, the Forest of Arden.
So everyone ends up in the Forest of Arden, and this is where the real fun begins. Arden isn't just a forest, it's a whole other world. It's a place of freedom, away from the rigid rules of the court. It's a place where you can shed your old self and maybe, just maybe, figure out who you're really meant to be. And this brings us to the play's absolutely brilliant central idea. To stay safe, our heroine Rosalind disguises herself as a sharp, witty young man named Ganymede. Her best friend, Celia, comes along as a humble shepherdess named Alina. And this isn't just about playing dress-up. This transformation gives them a voice and a freedom they could never have as noble women back in that dangerous court. Now, this is where we get to the absolute heart of the comedy. Orlando, totally lovesick, is wandering the forest, carving Rosalind's name on trees. And who does he bump into? Ganymede, who is, of course, Rosalind in disguise. He has no clue he's talking to the woman he's head over heels for, so Rosalind, as Ganymede, sees her chance and offers to cure him of his lovesickness by pretending to be Rosalind so he can practice his wooing on her. It is an amazing, hilarious, and surprisingly deep setup. And so all of this leaves us with the play's big final question. In a world where everyone is pretending to be someone they're not, where identities are totally fluid, is it even possible to find something real, something true? In this magical forest, where a woman is pretending to be a man who is pretending to be a woman, can real love actually happen? Well, to find that out, you'll have to discover As You Like It for yourself.